Did you know dating back to 1928, Coca-Cola has been one of the longest consecutive running sponsors of the Olympic Games? Of course, to be one of the freakish athletes participating, they likely don't drink Coke, but that doesn't mean that the rest of us ordinary folks can't enjoy the dozens of Coca-Cola products out there. I'm sure the stat that you're more interested in knowing about is that Coca-Cola has paid increasing dividends for 59 straight years. They also offer a very impressive, well over 3% starting yield for a blue chip company with over a $200 billion market cap. But that dividend might not be as safe as you might think. In today's video, we will cover what's up with Coca-Cola stock, their dividend, and look at some of their financials to see if the dividend can continue to be covered for years to come. Make sure you say no to censorship and hit that like button. I promise it won't hurt my feelings. And subscribe for more great content on the stock market. Coca-Cola, as you know, is a global brand sold in over 200 different countries. They've been around for over 135 years. They actually have 200 or so brands, including Cherry Coke, Diet Coke, Sprite, Fanta, Fairlife Milk, Smart Water, Powerade, Minute Maid, and unfortunately, they also sell Dasani water. So if you choose not to invest in them for this reason, I completely understand. When I invest in companies, I want to see that revenue number go up every single year. Unfortunately, that is not the case with Coca-Cola, as their numbers are quite sporadic and they actually almost go in a negative direction. Coca-Cola brought in $48 billion in revenue during 2013, but that number has dipped to just $38 billion in 2021. Now, this could be attributed to shifting dietary choices of consumers, rising competition, supply chain issues, inflation, and more recently, restrictions due to C-19, as there seems to be new variants coming out every single week like we're rushing a sorority house. Coca-Cola makes a good amount of its money being sold at sporting events, concerts, bars, restaurants, and if these are limited, obviously Coca-Cola won't be able to make those sales. One thing that certainly will help with their sales though is their $5.6 billion acquisition of Body Armor. Now, despite its name, this isn't what we will use to go jousting, but it is actually the name of a sports drink that could bring in as much as $4 billion in sales annually. This will help them compete with Gatorade in the sports drink segment, as Pepsi continues to control 70% of the market share there, because Powerade, that just isn't cutting it. Coca-Cola continues to consolidate the number of brands it has to eliminate lower volume ones, and now they even sell alcoholic beverages such as hard seltzer. Coca-Cola also acquired Costa Coffee, the second largest coffee chain brand, for about $5 billion in early 2019. I don't need to tell you how much people love coffee, as this segment just continues to grow around 5% every single year. Mergers and acquisitions are likely the best way for Coca-Cola to keep growing as a business. Sadly, one of the cons to everyone knowing your product and already being available in every country is you probably won't be growing very organically anywhere. And this may have already been realized by investors since 1998, as the stock price has only went up just 25%, or just about 1% every year in the last 23 years. That's compared to the market being well up over 300% in that same time span. This is part of the reason why Coca-Cola's starting yield is so high. They keep raising the dividend every year, yet the share price is almost stagnant. Additionally, another positive for Coca-Cola is that long-term investing in the stock gives qualified dividends, and that gets preferential tax treatment. This might be why Warren Buffett still keeps nearly 9% of his portfolio in Coca-Cola stock, which he first bought in the late 80s. That pays him over $680 million in dividends every single year for doing absolutely nothing. Now, Coca-Cola just continues to be a dependable stock. Its days of delivering fantastic growth year over year are likely over. However, they continue to bring in great cash flows every single year because they can sell their products and they have such a strong brand name recognition that helps keep bringing in consumers. The low cost for a can of soda means that anybody in the world could be a potential customer. Now, in terms of that dividend safety, in the last fiscal year, they brought in $8.6 billion in free cash flow and they paid out $7 billion in dividends, which gives them a staggering dividend payout of around 81%. But if we take a look at the last 5 years, we can see that in 2018 and 2017, they actually had a payout ratio of over 100%. That, of course, is not sustainable. If we add up the last 5 years, their total is $35 billion in free cash flow and $33 billion in dividends paid out. That gives them a very high payout ratio of 94% over the last 5 years. I am, however, glad to see them hovering back around 80%. Pepsi, for reference, is around 63% in their dividend payout ratio. I'd like to see KO continue to work on buying back its own shares. That's if they can afford it, as they do have a very impressive A1 investment grade rating from Moody's. Now, share buybacks, that would give them a price boost, that would increase their starting dividend yield, and that would lower the amount of dividends that they would have to pay out in the future. Unfortunately, they seem to be going in the opposite direction and issuing more new shares than repurchasing. Although in addition to issuing new shares, they also seem to be buying back smaller amount of shares at the same time, so not really sure what's going on there. Coca-Cola's most recent earnings was very positive. They had net revenues grow by 16%, earnings per share grew by 41%, and they raised their full year guidance. That to me says that they've rebounded quite well from C19, and hopefully no more lockdown policies happen again, otherwise that might spell trouble for KO. Now, KO should continue to operate as an oligopoly, as them, Pepsi, Keurig Dr. Pepper, they dominate the real estate space on shelves and at restaurants. Coca-Cola has 21 different brands that produce over $1 billion in sales. Personally, at this point, I own Coca-Cola more for symbolic reasons and just a pure dividend play. This is definitely not a get-rich overnight stock. This is a get-rich slowly over time kind of stock. I just can't see Coca-Cola outpacing the market anytime soon. It's also probably not going to have double-digit dividend increases either, as they seem to only be raising the dividend by a penny every year. But that high starting yield is definitely attractive. I would continue to keep an eye on that payout ratio, but for now the dividend does seem safe. But tread with caution, especially if those lockdowns happen again. Remember, my videos are always available in podcast form under the Collect Cash podcast name. These videos do take a lot of time for me to research and put together. Please consider helping a small-time YouTuber by hitting that like button, subscribing, and letting me know what you think of Coca-Cola stock in the comments below. And I will buy, stash, collect cash. See you later.